In the words, a writer at the peak of his literary success discovers the steep price he must pay for stealing another man's work.
He knew the life he wanted. He knew what he had to do to get it.
It's so different from anything you've ever done before.
I was primarily interested in seeing the words based on a snippet of a clip that I saw on a talk show, I think, with Jeremy Irons and Bradley Cooper talking to each other on a bench. I don't even think I had seen a trailer. I had seen the poster, and that's it. But this clip is really what got me interested, and it was literally just them talking back and forth, but it seemed really interesting. Now, I'm not sure if any of the marketing would have ruined this movie for me, but I'm really glad I went in knowing almost nothing, because I ended up really liking this movie a lot. I was totally engaged. The movie flew by for me. I thought the performances were really good, and while I do have a few problems with it, which I will get into in a moment, I really enjoyed this. When the movie was over, I let out a sigh, and I was like, that was really good. So first of all, plot-wise, this movie is like Inception. You've got one guy telling a story about another guy, telling a story about another guy who is telling a story. And I didn't know where it ended. I didn't know where the real-world level was, and then the next one was a story and a story. So for all I know, it just kept going on forever. But I definitely thought that was interesting. And also, you know, it was kind of non-linear because it kind of went in and out of the different levels of this whole thing. And I'm always a big fan of stuff like that where it's not just completely straightforward, so that definitely kept me interested throughout the whole thing. Aside from making a comparison to Inception, I thought the whole thing was pretty unique, and I haven't seen anything quite like this before. I thought that sometimes it went on a little too long between switching back to other levels just because I kind of almost, not that I forgot, but I was like, well, what's going on with these guys? Where are they right now? But, yeah, overall, I thought that was pretty interesting. Directing-wise, I actually thought there was some really cool shots in this movie, and overall, I thought the whole thing was put together well, because, you know, you've got like 3 levels of story. I imagine that's really hard to wrangle, but I thought they did a pretty good job with it. Like I said, I was engaged through the whole thing, and I was interested through the whole thing, and I think that's pretty impressive, because it's almost like you're juggling 3 different movies. But like I said, I do have one problem, and that is the tone of the movie. I don't know if it's the tone exactly, but something about the movie felt a little bit off, like almost reserved, like it was being held back. I think this movie could have been a truly great film. I mean, I'm talking, you know, award-winning, but it just wasn't quite there, and I think it was, I don't know if it was missing something, because I think this was the first time the writer-directors that did this movie had directed a movie, so I'm not sure if maybe they were being cautious or what, but I think given a little bit more style, a different style, I think it really could have been huge. And I mean, I enjoyed it overall, but I can see that it definitely felt like it was holding back or lacking something. I also thought the music was really good and complemented everything very well. I really thought the music fit in perfectly, and maybe that's what really got me interested from the start. I think the music was pretty sort of driving. It really grabbed me, so that might be a factor of why I was really into this movie through the whole thing. And finally, acting. I thought all the performances were really good, specifically Bradley Cooper and Jeremy Irons, of course. Yeah, I thought they were great. I also thought that the person who played the young Jeremy Irons character in the past looked like Jeremy Irons. As soon as I saw him, I was like, I totally buy it. That is Jeremy Irons. And so I was really impressed with that. I also thought that Dennis Quaid was, I don't know, I thought that he was okay. Something was a little weird about him and Olivia Wilde. Their whole thing was a little bizarre, and I do have one thing to say about that, which I'll say in just a moment. But, yeah, overall, I thought all the performances were actually really good. That one thing I'd like to mention is technically a spoiler, so I'm going to talk about it in just a moment. But overall, I really enjoyed this movie. I was into it the whole time. It definitely didn't drag for me. Even though I can see that it might be a bit slow, I was really invested the whole time. So maybe just personally, I was really into it, and I could see how some people might be like, all right, yeah, pick it up a little bit. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. But now I'm going to talk about this one thing that is a spoiler, so if you have not seen the words, please do not watch the rest of this video. Wait until you've seen it, and then you can come back and see what I had to say. And it's actually something my sister had to say. This is the spoiler, so please get out of here if you haven't already. My sister brought up a good point when we were on the way home from seeing this movie. She pointed out that it was a little bit predictable or cheesy, I guess she said, the way that Dennis Quaid and Olivia Wilde's thing kind of ended. And even though I wasn't bothered by by it so much, and I didn't really think about it as much. I do agree with her, and she basically had some great suggestions. She said, you know, if Olivia Wilde had left and Dennis Quaid kept talking, like out loud, admitting something to himself more than anything, that would have probably been more powerful, because I took him talking to Olivia Wilde as him really talking to himself. We're kind of talking out loud, and not specifically to her. Like, I don't think she really mattered. So that's maybe why I wasn't really as bothered by it being a little bit predictable. But definitely, I think if she had left and he kept talking, that could have been cool. Or also, my sister suggested maybe if he was being interviewed or something like that and he started to open up. Any other way than what happened, I think would have been more interesting. It was definitely a little bit predictable, but that goes back to what I said about the movie feeling a bit like it was holding something back, and I don't know why. I truly think that done a little bit differently, this could have been just a really, truly great movie. But as it is, it was a good movie, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. So let me know in the comments what you thought of The Words. Let me know what you expected going in. Did you have any expectations? I didn't, like I said, for the most part. Let me know what you thought of the performances. Let me know if you agree or disagree that it kind of felt like something was missing or that it was being held back. Let me know anything that you want about The Words, and that's pretty much it.
You think you can just steal man's life and expect there'll be no price to pay?